Georgia, Alabama. Sports Live will be your go-to for all your favorite high school and collegiate games this fall. From the Carver Tigers to the Columbus Blue Devils, the Harris County Tigers and Northside Patriots, the Glenwood Gators and Calvary Christian Knights, the Pacelli Vikings and Brookstone Cougars, to the Smith Station Panthers and Russell County Warriors, from CVCC, Pirates basketball and baseball, and every tournament from here to Macon. We are the #1 destination for anything happening in East Alabama and West Central Georgia. Be sure to like and follow us on YouTube and Facebook, and stay tuned for even more amazing ways we will be bringing Georgia, Alabama Sports Live to you this upcoming season. We can't wait to come see you next. Good evening, everyone, and welcome to another edition of the Georgia Alabama Sports Live Show. I'm Thrift, Barringer, and alongside with me is my partner in crime, Richie Rich Holdridge. How are you, man?
What's going on, Thrift? I'm glad to be back. It's been a long time coming.
I'm glad you're back, too, and we got a ton of stuff we're talking about. We had a quadruple header yesterday we got to get into. Also, probably one of the best games in the last 6 to 10 years in college football happened last night. We're going to have our opinion on that. Auburn, too. That'll be towards the end of the show as we wrap it up. But then we're dropping a new ratings poll this week. Not a lot of movement up at the top, but definitely numbers 5 through about 10. You're starting to see movement in there. So we'll drop that, and then we end it previewing what's coming up this week on Georgia Alabama Sports Live and in the high school football around our area. Richard, you just did CB Hoops Perfect Practice Fall League that had a phenomenal game between Carver and Pacelli. Came down to the wire. Pacelli ended up winning that game. We're seeing some high-level basketball here in September. I cannot wait for the upcoming season.
Yeah, it was a lot of fun calling the CB Hoops Perfect Practice Fall League games with Chris Gates. It was really just
made his debut as a color guy.
Yeah, he did amazing. Yeah, and really the thing is, he's been a producer long enough. Like he's been observing, and he's just got a lot of knowledge that's built up that just wants to get out. And I thought that we did a pretty good job just cutting it up and just having fun. And it was a showcase. I mean, there were some dunks, some high-flying action that brought the house down. But I thought that was just an incredible matchup between Carver and Pacelli. And you're featuring, like, some big-time basketball. I mean, these are really the two most successful basketball teams in Columbus. You know, Carver going to the Final Four last year. Pacelli's the defending GIAA champions. Yep. It was a lot of fun.
And enjoyed hearing you both on the call, and you can see that every Sunday. 2 weeks left. Playoffs start next week, and then the championship is October the 13th. We're going to get all those. We love being a part. This is year number 5 of the CB Hoops Perfect Practice Fall League that I've been a part of. And year number 2, the Georgia Alabama Sports Live has been a part of it. All right, like I said, a lot that we're going to be getting into today. So Richard, and by the way, Falcons won. So just made the day even better. Braves lost, though. And again, we'll talk about all that towards the end of the show. This show right now is predominantly about high school football.
I do have a playoff scenario. They got a doubleheader against the Mets tomorrow.
Yeah.
So one win, they're in. They lose both, they're out.
So they have to. And
just plain and simple.
I don't see that happening. And I see the Braves making the playoffs. But, man, what a phenomenal run they've been on here these last couple of days. All right, let's go ahead and let's get into it. On Saturday, Georgia Alabama Sports Live did something they've never done before. We had a quadruple header. We were at 4 different stadiums broadcasting 4 different games. It was baffled by it. For one, we had a lot of fun at Glenn Smith Chevrolet and GMC bringing in the college football, high school football Saturday there. So thank you so much, Glenn Smith, for being our presenting sponsor. But, man, from Pacelli taking down Strong Rock, great job by Dave Platt, who was on the call there. Toygar Isla, the producer. We'll talk about that game in a moment. Then at 12 o'clock, Richard, you produced and did play-by-play. I mean, I'm so proud of you, man. We did Shaw Columbus. And then at 2 p.m., we did Northside and Harris County, Hardaway and Carver. Rex Castillo made his debut. History was made. 4 games in one day, and we're going to try it again. We're crazy enough. We're going to try it again this Friday and doing Carver Shaw, a part of 3 other games that we already had scheduled. So we are just rocking and rolling right now, Richard. And then we also broadcasted Brookstone Calvary. So 5 games this weekend, and you can find them all on Georgia Alabama Sports Live. Richard, I was talking to Brandon Schwobel and Rick Beach, and I told Chris and Toygar this. I just was blown away at what our team has been able to accomplish in such a short period of time. This is only going into year 2, and yet we were able to do that. And I actually got a shout-out right now from Rex Castillo. Dude, Rex, for one, is a huge part of going forward in the future. You're going to see a lot more of Rex Castillo. I got so much good feedback, Richard, about Rex's debut as play-by-play that I think we're going to be using him again this Friday if he's available.
I was blown away.
He's on the team. He's 100% going to be a part of what we do. And, Rex, thank you so much for how y'all did that. And we're going to talk about the games in a moment. I promise you we got several players we're going to be shouting out. But I just want to talk about what we were able to accomplish yesterday, Richard, which was phenomenal.
It really was. A big shout out to my Denfo's colleague. He probably understands that. Both military broadcasters. I love Rex and what he does, the news anchor in the mornings, but he's a sports guy. He'll always be a sports guy to me. And I'm just excited that Rex is a part of Georgia Alabama Sports Live. I was really, when I was watching that Carver Hardaway game, Thrift, let me ask you something. Did you ever think in the back of your mind that when Georgia was playing Alabama, I'm wondering if Michael Williams and Elijah Pritchett might have had a conversation before the game? Hey, our high schools are playing each other? Or they right. Just played each other? It was great. And that's the first thing that came to mind when Hardaway was playing Carver.
Yeah, no doubt. But again, thank you to Rex Castillo. And that's our team. Rex Castillo, Mike Peacock, Dave Plata, Richard Holdridge, myself, Noah Shelton, Rick Beach. Those are the talent and the broadcasters. And then the guys that really take it to a whole nother level. The Chris Gates, the Toygar Islas, the Brandon Schwobels, the Bain Robertsons. I mean, our team has just been able, even Michael Long Jr., who's been a part of some of our broadcasts. It's been really incredible. And I'm looking forward to the future and continue giving coverage and giving these kids and their coaches the proper exposure that they deserve. And that's the only reason we do this, guys, because I was a former high school athlete, played a couple years in college, would have loved to have an opportunity to now. This is on our archives on YouTube. Go back and watch my games, then allowing family members to see it that aren't able to make it. I'm really in awe of what we've been able to turn this into in such, again, sort of period of time. But enough bragging. I'm done patting myself on the back because I want to get to the conversation at hand, which is what happened this past Friday. And we'll start with Friday. And we talked about it a little bit on Saturday. Calvary just had a tough time, Richard. They were just dominated. There was point blank simple. Brookstone is legit, and I see Brookstone, Richard, being a team that I think going to win the state championship. I'm being honest with you. If you're looking at the scores right now, and we'll run through them, we were there for this. Noah Shelton was on the call. It was 41-0 at halftime, 55-7. Calvary has the athletes, and Nate Osborne, when given enough time, can make the throws, but he doesn't have any time. The offensive defensive line have just gotten manhandled in all these games that Calvary has lost, and they just and I'll give a little credit to Brookstone too. I think Brookstone's just really good, and I think that again they're one of my top 3 teams in the GIAA right now to win it all. But they dominate Calvary 55-7. Anything you want to add on that, Richard?
Well, we all know that Brookstone's got the bye. They got 2 weeks to prepare for the battle for the Brucelli jug, which we got plenty of time to hype up that game. And Thrift, correct me if I'm wrong, but I believe we're going to have that game on Georgia Alabama Sports Live in 2 weeks.
Yeah, I can't wait to be able to do that. All right, let's talk about some of the other games. Again, shout out to Spencer as they beat Kendrick. I talked about CJ Starr, Elijah Fudge. The Spencer Greenways took Kendrick to the woodshed, and Spencer's 4-2. Spencer's every bit as in the thick of the playoff race. Sumter beats Jordan. They stay undefeated. That clash with Carver's coming up real soon. We're going to have that on Georgia Alabama Sports Live. And we already talked about Russell County, 5-1 to start the season. Unbelievable. That's a call that Richard made back in the Glenwood Valley game, which was an incredible call, Richard. But Russell County beat Valley. But on Saturday, I'm going to tell you, I was shocked by a couple games. I was shocked first, and we'll start with this one. Carver at Hardaway. Did not expect Carver to be up 35-0 or 42-0 at halftime. The second half, they just ran the clock. Hardaway, they are improving, and I've been so proud of what I've seen for Coach Ryan McKenzie's program. Bobby Gary can make all the elite throws. He's only a sophomore. Markel Benton has been a great running back. The offense and defensive line have played really well and been much improved from last year. But you see how far the talent gap is for the top team in the region, Carver. And again, Rex was on the call for this. Matthew Mungden is coming to his own. That Carver defense, they are maybe the best defense aside from Harris County we have in our league right now, in our coverage area. Shout out to Justin Newman, Jatavius Wisdom. I know his dad, Jabo, is watching right now. He has been elite and been a part of that wrecking crew. Cal Hodge, son, he's been elite linebacker that has just been terrorizing everyone. But Carver's put people on notice. And anyone thought that after that Harris County game, Carver's not winning a state title. What team are you watching? Because it's not the same Carver Tigers that I've been watching with Pierre Coffey. Carver is the favorite, in my opinion, to bring home a state championship in 2A, and they proved it again this week, dominating Hardaway. And we both thought this would be kind of close in the first half. They just put them to bed immediately.
Carver's been the standard when it comes to big-time championship football. I mean, look at how many players play at the next level. And you look at a guy like Tristan Givens that's going to play at the next level. You got Braylon Jakes. I mean, you've got Kelston Tarver. I mean, you've got Jacoby Caslin. Just outstanding players everywhere. We know that Coach Pierre Coffey has just got a team that could run the table. I think that this game, this upcoming Friday against Shaw, I think it's going to be interesting because I think that Shaw with Aaron Grant, I mean, he's just like Bobby Gary. He can make plays. I think that everybody in this region, including Sumter County, is going to want to try to get a shot at Carver. I think that Carver's already been battle-tested, losing to Harris County. But I think that the game that really put the whole city on notice is when they shut out Northside 2 weeks ago, 26-0. I like what I see with Carver. I do think that Hardaway is a good team as well. They have a bye, and then in 2 weeks, we got the Midtown Showdown that we could hype up for the next 2 weeks. I'm excited about that as well.
Yeah, me and you will be on the call for that, Richard. I'm looking forward to doing that game. All right, a game that you did, Richard, Shaw and Columbus. Aaron Grant is elite. Everybody say it with me. Aaron Grant is elite. He's hard to bring down. I really like the running game that I see from Shaw. He can make throws when needed. The defense was elite. I like Shaw going to 500 now, 3-3 on the season. They're, again, another team that's, with that win over Hardaway a few weeks ago, still in the playoff race. They got a big one coming up against Spencer in about 3 weeks. We'll be covering that one. And that could really decide who's going to make the playoffs or not. Because remember, in 2A, I got to make this mention again. The top 2 teams in the region, of each region, get an automatic bid in. Everyone else is put into a big pool, and then they do strength of schedule, how like your opponent's winning percentage, and your opponent's winning percentage. So how much you win by is important. They do like a BCS type formula. So for those teams that right now it's Sumter County and Carver, the 2 teams that would get in. Spencer and the Shaws, they're in a pool with everybody else. So they need to win games like 35-7, which Shaw did. But good win for Coach Gardner's team, Richard. You were there for that one.
Yeah, and the Alex Quinney All-State Good Hands Player of the Game was Sincere Ford, which was a terror on defense. He was in just about every tackle, and on special teams, I mean, he really helped the field position. I just thought that Columbus, out the gate, a quick turnover, and Shaw put the ball in the end zone, and it was 7-0. It was hard to overcome. There was one big play that Columbus did have. And I thought that Columbus was just a mismatch because Shaw is playing with a lot of confidence right now after getting the win over Hardaway and after only losing by 1 to Sumter County. Shaw feels that they can compete with Carver. I just think Columbus is going to have to regroup, get ready for the Midtown Showdown. I mean, this is a big deal. It's in our city. I know that Coach Robert Peters is going to have his team ready. You got to remember, Columbus is a very young team. I know that Barringer is only a sophomore, but he's going to be a very good running back for years to come. I just think that it was just too much to overcome, and Shaw gets a big, impressive victory.
Another impressive victory, which was the game of the week. We hyped it up between two rivals. Harris County blanks Northside 21-0. I was on the call with Rick Beach for this one. Harris County, it seemed like they had, especially in that first half, 2 touchdown drives that went over 7 minutes. Every one of their touchdown drives, it's long sustaining, takes a lot of time off the clock. And this is Harris County football. We've seen it for 2 years now. This is it. It is 3 yards in a cloud of dust is what they used to say, 15, 20 years ago with these, like an Alabama-led team during Nick Saban's early in his tenure. Harris County likes running the football, and even without their top 2 backs, and Rivers and Eugene Robinson, the player of the game, Alex Quinney All-State player of the game, who had a sack, tackle for loss, and several tackles on defense, had over 100 yards rushing and a rushing touchdown on offense. Bishop Adams, you got Christian Olson. I love Trotter Teasley, didn't make any mistakes. Rand Ogletree didn't even really have to do anything, and that's it's a good sign for Harris County. When that defense is locked down, Demetrius Brooks on the outside, D-Rock Brooks, the defensive coordinator, Harris County just manhandled Northside from start to finish. Now, Northside didn't have their starting quarterback. Caden Clay was out this week, still battling an injury. But I thought Wilkinson did a really good job, Braxton Wilkinson, who's a junior. He'll be the starter next year. But they just couldn't get any traction moving the football. And they had a tough time even getting it deep in Harris County territory. Kingston Rivers was elite for Northside. He had probably close to 100 yards receiving. That guy took some licks, but held on to the football. He will be at the next level. I promise you that. But Northside got blanked by Harris County. So now Harris County, between them, Central of Carrollton, and Stars Mill, that could decide who wins the region this year. But Harris County beats Northside for the second consecutive year, and they go to 5-1 on the season.
They end up taking on Griffin next week. We will have that call on Georgia Alabama Sports Live. You did mention Stars Mill and Central. I think those are going to be 2 very challenging matchups. Stars Mill, they're going to play on October the 11th at Harris County, and then they travel up to Carrollton to take on Central of Carrollton. Since Harris County has gone down to 4A, I mean, they've just cracked the top 10 in the latest 4A poll. I mean, we know the teams in 4A that could compete for a championship, like Benedictine, like Perry. Can we put Harris County in that elite category of these talented teams?
Exactly right. And the final game we did, which was Pacelli and Strong Rock, this game was back and forth early on, but Pacelli pulled away. It ended up winning by 22. They scored 56 points. Zion Mabry was incredible. The running back transfer from Carver. This guy has come in and just been elite. And I keep using that word. I'm going to emphasize that several times, Richard. But Zion Mabry, Jason Nelson, John Thompson, the offense was unstoppable. And if Pacelli keeps playing the way they are, they'll get a game against Calvary, which I expect them to win. They'll go to 4-3 before they take on the battle of all battles against Brookstone. They beat Brookstone. Pacelli could be hosting a playoff game this year. But a big win against Strong Rock. I think they're going to take bare business against Calvary. They still got Brookstone and then Westfield to end the season. They needed to beat Strong Rock. They did that, and Coach Dwight Jones, Pacelli Vikings go to 500, and they still got everything in front of them. As Ebe mentioned, A tough loss last week, but again, that game didn't matter. They're not even in the GIAA. They beat Strong Rock. Now they got to take care of Calvary, and then it's the game of all games, the rivalry of all rivalries, Brookstone and Pacelli.
Huge region win for the Pacelli Vikings to go 1-0 in the region. They got to take care of business against Calvary. I know that they're facing a Brookstone team in 2 weeks. Brookstone has got a full week to prepare for this game. And Brookstone is going to want to try to get that jug back. But Pacelli knows that this game is going to be played. I want to say this is at Diamond Field. I know that the Battle for Pacelli Jug was at Brookstone last year, so it's going to be at Diamond Field.
Yep.
According to Max Preps, it's at Diamond Field, unless we
no, it is at Diamond Field, but it was at Diamond Field last year too. Both games.
It was okay. So they haven't played. They haven't played. Wow. So back-to-back years at Diamond Field. Pacelli. They want to try to get a home playoff game because when you get that number 1, number 2 seed, anything could happen in the GIAA playoffs. Which, by the way, are going to be in Statesboro this year at historic Paulson Stadium, the home of Georgia Southern. That is the goal, is to get to Statesboro for the GIAA state playoffs.
I'm glad you mentioned them. Me and Richard, we are a part of the GIAA. You could say I'm the voice and Richard's the co-voice of the GIAA, and we look forward to doing volleyball championships coming up October the 12th. Me and Richard will be there for that. October 19th, softball. And then November 21st to the 23rd is 8-man football, flag football, 1A, 2A, 3A, and 4A state championships, Richard. Thursday and Friday and Saturday. I cannot wait to go and be there with you, to be on the call for all those state championship games. So that should be a lot of fun. So looking forward to doing that for sure. And again, tune in tomorrow on GIAA.tv. That's the website, or GIAA Facebook page to watch the GIAA scoreboard show. We have a game of the week. It's Brentwood and Briarwood. That's the number 1 and number 2 teams in 2A of the GIAA. We will interview the winning coach from that team. All right, a couple other games. Make mention, by the way, Rex Castillo said Braylon Jakes was the Alex Quinney All-State Player of the Game for Carver. You said Shaw's. Who was the Shaw Player of the Game, Richard?
Sincere Ford.
Sincere Ford.
Sincere Ford.
I mean, we're both choking over here. And then Harris County's was Bishop Adams, and I don't have Pacelli's yet, but they will make sure to get their Alex Quinney All-State Players of the Game. San Hope Elmore beat Smith Station in the closest game they played all year. Opelika beat Pike Road. Big win for the Bulldogs. So Bulldogs in that same region as Auburn and Smith Station and Central. I mean, woo! So looking
Thrift,
forward
I do want to say something. Normally when I send out this recap, I send it out every week. Notice that the list is very small because there was a lot of local teams that were supposed to play games that got canceled. Central IMG Academy got canceled, but they'll play each other next year. Glenwood was supposed to take on Wadley. That game got canceled just because of the flooding conditions and the field conditions at Wadley. So that's why this list is as short as it is.
Yeah, I know. And Central, remember, didn't play against IMG. So, by the way, Central and Auburn play this week. Wow, you talk about wanting to do a game. If we could do that game, I'd drop every game just to get that one. That one's going to be a mega clash.
No question.
But we can't. But we definitely will talk about it. We're going to take a break. When we get back from break, it's time to drop those ratings polls. Who is ready to get their feathers ruffled right here on the Georgia Alabama Sports Live Show? You're watching right now the Georgia Alabama Sports Live Show that is presented by Glenn Smith Chevrolet and GMC. Get ready to smile. We'll be right back after this.
Get your grills out this summer with Pepsi, the official beverage of Grills Night Out.
Truckloads of fresh inventory are rolling into Glenn Smith Chevrolet in Opelika. Check out the powerful new Chevrolet Silverado 4-wheel drive crew cabs, discounted up to $13,750 off. Chevy Equinox with discounts up to $6,000 off. And listen to this, 2024 Chevy Blazer EV, as low as $295 a month. Brand new Chevy Blazer EV, 24 months lease, just $295 a month.
Get ready to smile.
Welcome back, everyone. It's the Georgia Alabama Sports Live Show. And now, we're, by the way, presented by Glenn Smith Chevrolet GMC, Gordy Eye Care. Thank you to Buffalo Rock and Pepsi, CVCC, and Zaxby's. Also, thank you to Terry Johnson Agency, Masterwall Incorporated. Thank you to State Farm, Carroll Purdue, and Alex Quinney, Allstate, and Rick Knight, State Farm Insurance. Man, we got a lot of people that support us, and we appreciate that to be able to do the amount of games that we're able to cover. All right, let's ruffle feathers. Time to drop the new ratings poll for this week. Put it up there, Rich. All right. Now, like I said, not much movement in the first top five, and we'll talk about them here in just a moment. Shaw comes in at number 10, Pacelli at number 9. They both win. They both kind of stay where they were last week. Northside's the biggest drop. They go to number 8 as they get blanked in the two biggest games of the season against the two best teams. They got shut out, not just beat, but shut out by Carver and Harris County. So Northside in their region, that's got Central of Carrollton, Jonesboro, Harris County, Sars Mill, and then, of course, them. One of those teams is not going to make it, and I'm hoping that's not Northside. And I hope Coach Oropeza can ride the ship. I think Carver and Harris County are elite. Maybe they can still beat Jonesboro, beat Central Carrollton. We don't really know much about those teams. Jonesboro we do because they beat Harris County, but Central of Carrollton, Sars Mills is undefeated right now. They're the only undefeated team. But Northside just got pushed around, not able to even get in the end zone. Just did not look too good against Harris County. But again, I believe in Coach Oropeza. He will right the ship. He'll get this team back to competitive football and at least vying for one of those final playoff spots. But right now, Harris County's dominated the rivalry these last 2 years. But talk about those three
unfortunately,
Northside, Pacelli, and Shaw, Richard.
Yeah, unfortunately, we had to drop Northside in our polls because they are 3-2. Brookstone and Spencer are both 4-2. I think the Northside will actually ride the ship, and they will snap the 2-game losing streak. They will play Mundy's Mill on the road. I expect Northside to get a win there. Griffin is another team. They're going to play them on Thursday night in 2 weeks at Kinnett Stadium. I think that there's some wins in there for Northside and try to compete for a playoff spot.
I agree. And by the way, Spencer, who plays Sumter County on the road this week, 4-2. That's a big game. We'll talk about who we think is going to win in the next segment. But Spencer,
I do want to say, I love the fact that our fans that are in the comment section, they are predicting like what we're going to do next because we will talk about week 8. I mean, we have the schedule, so we appreciate your patience. I think that's great that you're excited about that as much as we are.
I am too. Thank you for the comments, guys. Keep commenting, keep sharing, tag a friend, tell a friend, and tell a friend, and tell a friend. But Spencer comes in at number 7. They go to 4-2. Brookstone at number 6. Now, Brookstone keeps winning the way they are. It's hard for me not to move them up because I think they have just as good a chance as anybody to win a state championship this year. But they got the 2 losses, and I just didn't want to jump them ahead of Russell County. But Brookstone beats Calvary. They got a bye this week, and then they got Pacelli. So they're going to try to sure things up against the big rivalry. And Spencer, they take on Sumter County. If they beat Sumter County, you're talking Spencer's the second-best team in the region, which could happen. Remember, Sumter County almost lost to Shaw last week, and they were 15. Yeah. If they won 15-14. So I'm going to hope Spencer wins. And I think I may even predict it. Teaser, you want to see who we're going to pick and how we're leaning. Tune into High School Game Day. That will be this Friday. But Richard, Spencer number 7, Brookstone number 6.
Yeah, I agree with these rankings. Same with you, Thrift. Spencer, I mean, they looked fantastic against Kendrick. I think that Spencer, if you look at their 2 losses, to Carver in the Heritage Bowl and to Lovett, which is one of the top private schools in the metro Atlanta area, I see this Spencer team as being the number 2 team in this region. But they still got some big games. Like you mentioned, Sumter County next week. That's going to be on the road. In America, Sumter County is still undefeated. We don't really know about like the home crowd advantage of what that's going to be, because Sumter County might be just a different team at home. But they also play Shaw. We're going to have that on Georgia Alabama Sports Live. They'll play Hardaway. They still got Columbus. And I think that the Spencer Green Wave, Coach Joe Kegler, I think that the transition from Gary Gaither to Elijah Fudge has just been just a smooth transition. And Elijah Fudge has picked up the offense, and Spencer's got a lot of confidence.
Number 5 is Russell County, beaten Valley by 18. They may go 8-2-9-1, Richard. You're going to sound like a genius. And I know you picked with your heart, not your head, at the beginning of the season with Russell County. But Bryson Riggins is great. The defense looked good, but that offense is unstoppable. Russell County comes in at number 5.
I do want to give a shout out to their public address announcer, John David Greer, because here's the thing. Coach Dylan Griggs, and I've known Coach Griggs since 2021. He really wanted me to be the public address announcer, and I recommended John David Greer because he called the games for the Chattahoochee Monsters, doing a fantastic job. I don't know if it's a good luck charm, but Russell County is rolling, and it's not just Bryson Riggins. We all know how special Bryson Riggins is. By the way, that game against Valley, and I'm correct me if I'm wrong, because I wanted to make sure that the stats were correct, that Bryson Riggins did throw for 6 touchdowns, because that actually said on his social media. 6 touchdowns. Yeah, so Bryson Riggins, he might just be player of the year. I mean, I know that each of the classifications have their player of the year.
That he may be. You're right, Rich.
I'm telling you. Yeah, and here, how cool would this be? We all know that Russell County has great fans. How cool would that be if they could host a playoff game? That they haven't done that in over a decade. And I love what Coach Griggs is doing at Russell County. I mean, he's built something special.
About them, Richard. Yeah, and I know you're excited about them, Richard. Number 4 is the Glenwood Gators. They didn't have a game this week. It actually got canceled against Wadley because, again, they're not even in the same classification. So Glenwood will only play 9 games this year. They take on undefeated Randolph Clay, who just won this past week. So they're undefeated. I'm going to be on the call for this one, Richard, this Friday night. I can't wait to see these two teams face off. Randolph Clay, remember, they beat Lee Scott by 20. Glenwood is hosting at home. Gators got basically a bye this week, so they'll have 2 byes now as they got to get ready for the biggest game of the season to win a region championship against Randolph Clay.
It's actually Randolph County Thrift, but it's County, all right. Randolph Clay.
I know
it's
Randolph
hard
Clay,
because we get
County.
the schools confused. Yeah, Randolph County up there in Wedowee. So you're going up 431, and I know I would take my kids up to camp up in Lineville, and we would go right through Wedowee. And, they just love their high school football up there, especially in these small towns. They're about an hour and a half outside the city. Randolph County is a 10-win program that made the playoffs last year. I mean, this is a very good team, and I expect just an exciting game between these two just incredible schools.
I do too. Carver continues to dominate. They got number 3, 5-1, and I think the favorite in 2A to win a championship this year. Harris County got the best win of the weekend. They beat Northside. They stay at number 2 because they beat Carver. They got the best win of the season, I think, with that 15-6 win over Carver. And then the number 1 team who had their game against IMG Academy canceled because of Hurricane Helene. And we want to say, I hope everyone stayed safe through Hurricane Helene. I hear another hurricane could be coming. So it's hurricane season. Make sure you're safe, and our prayers are out there for everyone that had to deal with the devastation of Hurricane Helene. But Central stays at number 1. Any comment on the top 3 as they say the same?
Yeah, I'm interested to see if this game coming up between Central and Auburn, by the way, are both 5-0. It's a shame that we're not calling this. This could be the game of the year. I mean, this could decide, who is going to go to the state championship. I think that, Auburn, even though they're not in our area that we cover the 16 schools in the Tri-City area. Auburn is still in the Chattahoochee Valley, and just giving them some love and they're able to beat Enterprise, a huge road victory. Central has, I'm not going to say they've struggled. They've had some close games. I mean, Dothan was a one-score game. Enterprise at times was a close game. They won that one 34-21. I know Central was excited and getting ready to play IMG Academy. It would have been tested. But don't worry, folks. IMG is coming back to Central next year. Just that, they're out of Bradenton, Florida, and they just couldn't make the trip up because of the hurricane.
Which is understandable too. All right, here's our ratings. We'll drop it. Make sure on our Facebook page, make sure to share it, like it, let everybody know. Here is our ratings. We're going to take a break. When we come back, we'll talk about this week's slate on high school football. We'll talk about where we're going to be, and then we'll wrap it up with a Falcons talk. And how about that Georgia-Alabama game? Kind of lived up to the hype, didn't it?
How about that?
Every time those two teams faced off. We'll be back on the Georgia-Alabama Sports Live Show. You're watching right now the Georgia-Alabama Sports Live Show that is presented by Glenn Smith Chevrolet and GMC. Get ready to smile. We'll be right back after this.
Introducing Gatorade Water. Alkaline and electrolyte infused for great taste. Gatorade Water, always in motion.
I'm thirsty.
Try this.
Starry.
It's a lemon lime soda that's crisp, clear, and
So refreshing.
bro, chill. It was a soda. Starry lemon lime soda. It's different.
Welcome back, everyone. Thrift, Barringer, Richard Holdridge. It's the Georgia-Alabama Sports Live Show. All right, let's talk about this week in high school football. We got a busy slate as you see all the games that are happening. Let's talk about the games that matter to our area. As Carver at Shaw, we plan on being there. We will be at Pacelli at Calvary. We will be at Randolph County at Glenwood, and we will be at Griffin at Harris County. So all four of those games, Carver Shaw is the only one that's kind of up in the air, but I'm telling you right now, after doing what we just did this past Saturday, we're going to do it again. We're going to make it happen on the Georgia-Alabama Sports Live Show. So looking forward to going to Connect Stadium. Richard, you'll be on the call for that. And then we got Pacelli, Calvary, Randolph County at Glenwood, and then Griffin at Harris County. So can't wait to do all of these games. But let's talk about Carver at Shaw. Shaw had a big win over Columbus. They go to 3-3. They almost beat Sumter County. If Carver's not careful and they overlook Shaw because they play Sumter County next week, that could be a recipe for an upset. I don't think that they're overlooking anything. I think right now it's tunnel vision for Carver, and they have just dominated every team that's been in front of them since that Harris County game. I don't think they're going to have any problems. I think it's going to be kind of like Hardaway, close in the first half, but then, Carver wears them down. I think it's going to be like a 28-7, 35-7 type game. Carver's going to win. But I'm telling you, if the only way I see an upset is if turnovers happen and Carver kind of comes out not motivated against this Shaw team.
I think that Carver wins, but I think that Shaw makes it a little interesting, especially in that first half. I think that Aaron Grant is going to be able to move the ball a little bit, but then that Carver defense, which has been playing lights out the last couple of weeks, I mean, it is hard to bet against Carver and their defense. I think that defense wins championships. I know that's an overused cliche in the announcing industry, but is there a defense out there that's playing better than Carver right now? I mean, but maybe Harris County. I mean, these two defenses are elite and could win a state championship because of that. And I think that Carver is no exception. Carver has got the most dominating defense that I've seen in a while.
I will tell you, though, Shaw's defense has gotten better as I saw Adam Denson, who's a supporter of ours, Their defense has gotten better each and every week, but I think Carver's athletes could be too much. But like I said, I still think it's going to be a competitive game in that first half, and I think Carver, ends up taking care of business. Jordan at Kendrick. I think Kendrick, if Jordan's going to get a win, it's going to be this game. And
has to be this win.
I think it's close. I'm not ready to predict because we're going to do this on high school game day. But Coach Mayo's team, I think they're probably going to get their second win of the season. But I don't know. I'm really thinking that this is the year Coach McDaniel and the Jordan Red Jackets take down Kendrick.
Jordan played Columbus close. They only lost that game 17-13. Jordan is going to get their first win for the first time since 2020. And I know when it happens, the Jordan fan base, our very own Rick Beach, who is a proud alum of the Jordan Red Jackets, is going to be celebrating because it's not about the wins and losses. It's about the program finishing games. And Coach Aaron McDaniel has picked up at where Coach Cadell Jenkins left off. I thought that Coach Cadell Jenkins, he had just this incredible personality at Media Day 2 years ago, and I felt that he built something special, and Coach McDaniel has really just carried the torch, and he's done a great job. I just love the fact that there's no quit in Jordan. They are fighting to the very end. I mean, they put up 17 points on Spencer. Now, you saw it here on Georgia Alabama Sports Live. I do think that Jordan is going to get their first win. I just don't know if it's going to be this year, but they just keep on building, and you got to buy into the program. And I think that Coach McDaniel is going to get some athletes to come to Jordan and try to make history. Let's make history for the Jordan Red Jackets.
Pacelli and
Big
Calvary.
shout out to the Sorry, if I cut you off.
No, I know you love giving shout outs, Richard. Pacelli and Calvary facing off against each other. I think Calvary will come out motivated in that first quarter. I think it'll be low scoring in that first half, but I think Pacelli, if you're Calvary, you want to come out at least and give some type of good effort in that first half. The last thing you want is to be down 41-0 like it happened against Brookstone. But with it being at home, maybe they can try to keep it kind of close. So we'll see. But we'll be there for that one at 7:30. Randolph County at Glenwood. This is a game of the week, and I'm gonna be on the call for this one. Two undefeated teams facing off against each other at the Swamp, Richard. It could decide the region. Can't wait to see how this one plays out.
Yeah, and I was thinking, when it comes to this game, I think it's just the firepower that Glenwood has, not just Levi Pender. I mean, you have Makai Simpson, you got Jermaine Brown, you got Carter Judah, your receivers, River Baker, Mason McCrane. I mean, how about Tyler Sykes on that line? I mean, Coach Nelson's got athletes, and I know they were in the AISA, but can we just make notice that it doesn't matter if you're in the AISA or in the AHSAA. Good football is good football regardless of the classification.
Yeah, I agree. And I think both of these teams are going to have a battle of all battles on Friday night. And the way Herrick Glenwood's offense has been playing, scoring over close to 40 points a game, I don't think they slow down. Levi Pender's been incredible. And Makai Simpson, Jermaine Brown, that running back duo, one guy gets tired, another one comes in. It's just like you get nonstop, hard-hitting, fast, elusive backs from the Glenwood Gators. The other game we're doing is Griffin at Harris County. Griffin's not good. I think Harris County wins this one. I think it's over at halftime. But we're going to be there for that, Harris County, because they're keep riding that wave, baby. The county keeps winning. The game of the week for us was Randolph County Glenwood. The actual best game probably of everybody that we cover is going to be Auburn at Central. This is number 1 and number 2. This is probably a state championship battle. I'm leaning Central because it's at Central. But Auburn has not had any – listen, Auburn has not had any trouble these last couple of weeks. Central's had borderline almost upsets. Maybe Auburn wins this and catch them off guard. I'm going to go Central. I'll have my official pick on Friday, but right now I'm leaning towards the Red Devils.
I actually got Auburn in an upset in this game. Omar Mabson might be the best running back in the state of Alabama. If Auburn just grounds and pounds with Omar Mabson and keeps Andrew Alford on the sideline, and I know that this is a hot take, and I know that all the Auburn fans, shout out to Jared Dillard who does the Auburn broadcast, and Jacob Goings, the voice of the Auburn Tigers, I know they're going to love me after this. I'm saying Auburn in an upset, and Central fans can get mad at me if you want. I know. After the show, Thrift, I'll make sure to give Coach Patrick Nix my home address, and that's where he can write the letters.
Yeah, right. I know. Spencer at Sumter County. I'm leaning upset. I think the Green Waves and that defense led by C.J. Starr is going to get some big-time stops. Sumter County had a tough time with Shaw. I think Elijah Fudge and the offense, Joe Kegler's team, they're going to be higher up in our ratings by the time the season ends. They could go 8-2 this year. I like Spencer a lot against Sumter County, and I'm thinking that they're going to show it's a Carver-Spencer world in this region they're playing in.
I do too.
Sumter County is undefeated.
They are. They're undefeated. But, I mean, if you look at their schedule, Crisp County was their biggest test. They only won by 1 point. They beat Shaw by 1 point. I looked at Sumter County's schedule. They haven't played anybody. I think Spencer gets the upset in this one too, Thrift.
I think the same thing. Some other games, Troop County at Upson Lee should be fun. Northside playing at a winless Monday's Mill is what they need right now. It's what the doctor ordered. Get on the road, get a big victory, and again, you only got 2 losses, get you to 4-2. You still got a chance to make the playoffs. The toughest part of your schedule is the back half. So let's see if they can get a good win against Monday's Mill. Troop County at Upson Lee. Russell County goes on the road to take on San Hope. And Smith Station, if they're going to get a win this season, it's going to happen against Jag.
They beat Jag last year. Why not Smith Station get a win against Jag?
Yeah, that's what I'm thinking too. All right, here's the schedule. We're going to be at the 4 games we may mention. High school game day is still up in the air. We'll let you know where that is.
By the way, Thrift, you noticed I added Manchester at Bowden. That is the rematch of the state championship.
Yeah, that'd be a pretty cool game to go do if we could. But, yep, this is where we're going to be, and you see it on Georgia Alabama Sports Live. All right, let's talk about other things that are happening in Georgia Alabama Sports Live for this week. I didn't give Richard a schedule to throw up there, so I'll just read them off to everybody. Tomorrow, we got the Glenwood and Calvary Coaches Show, and then we got a volleyball tri-match. Rick Beach will be on the call. Glenwood, Harris County, and Shaw. Then we got softball, final region game, Central Carrollton at Harris County. Then we got the Muskogee County Coaches Show, me and Richard will do. And then the quadruple header on Friday, Pacelli at Calvary, Randolph County at Glenwood, Griffin at Harris County, and Carver at Shaw. Then on Saturday, we got volleyball Pacelli playoffs. So they'll be hosting playoff games. We'll be there for that. And then Sunday, CB Hoops, Purple Practice Fall League. So just another busy week on Georgia Alabama Sports Live. We're going to wrap up the show the last 9 minutes to talk about what happened last night. Alabama was just on fire that first half. I called it. Jalen Milroe won the Heisman. I don't care what you say. I'm not hearing anything about Travis Hunter. Jalen Milroe is the best player in the country right now. All right, he is playing over 100 yards rushing, 200 yards passing, 2 touchdowns. He did have an interception, but he was incredible. Obviously, this was a high-scoring game, which did anybody expect that with these 2 defenses? Not me. But 28-0, Georgia to bounce all the way back shows why they are a national championship winning program. There's only a few programs that could do that in that atmosphere to not only come back but take the lead. I was so impressed what I saw from Georgia in that second half. And it makes me think that Georgia, they may upset Texas. I remember I said that Georgia's loss this year was going to be to Texas. Now I'm thinking Texas' only loss is going to be to Georgia. I think Georgia's going to win that game. They do play Auburn this upcoming week. But phenomenal game, lived up to the hype. And that's why we love college football and when these 2 teams face off.
Alabama is now the new number 1 team in college football, according to the new
As they
AP
should
poll,
be.
Well deserved. Look, Kalen DeBoer he's pretty much a clone of Nick Saban. I mean, Alabama has not skipped a beat with Kalen DeBoer. I think they're a little bit more explosive offensively. And I think that Alabama could win the national championship. Now, I admit,
why
Thrift,
can't they?
What's that?
I said, why can't they? Ryan Williams, 17 years old?
Yeah.
Come on.
Did you see that? Did you see the catches that Ryan Williams made?
Not just the catch, to come back and make the catch, but the spin move and the elusiveness.
The spin move.
The touchdown. This Alabama offense is better than last year's.
Nobody makes that. That was a freak of nature, and he's only 17. Anyway, I admit, and I know that I'm excited that I'm going to be a guest on your podcast, Unsolicited Hot Take, which this is where I'll get fired up just like you, because I know we had a conversation when the Georgia was down 28-0. Everything that you could possibly think of that went wrong happened for Georgia. And the only thing that I could think of was that they just didn't show up in that first half. But you got to give credit for Georgia for bouncing back and coming back and actually taking the lead, which didn't last very long.
I thought, Richard, you were going to post. I thought you were going to post that they were going to go 6-6 this year, just like you did with Alabama. You were giving some – listen, you were firing off some hot takes. So hold those for unsolicited hot take. Right, yeah, but that's not happening either. But save those hot takes for unsolicited hot take. In Auburn, I'm going to save my real thoughts for unsolicited hot take, which you can find where you find podcasts everywhere. Richard's going to be kind of helping me produce that, put that everywhere. Also on the Georgia Alabama Sports Live YouTube channel and the Thrift Barringer Facebook page. Richard, look forward to having you on. Auburn looked good for 3 quarters and then just blew the game. Quarterback had 300 yards passing and just blew the game. And
you cannot throw a pick 6 with 4 minutes to go. You're in Oklahoma territory, up 21-6. And that's all I'm going to say about that. I'm going to save the rest of the rant for unsolicited hot take.
Yeah, just not a good performance from the Auburn Tigers, 2-3, and I don't even know if they make a bowl game this year. And the Atlanta Falcons beat the Aints. How about Young Wei Koo?
Young Wei Koo!
Didn't even score an offensive touchdown. Didn't even score an offensive touchdown.
58 yards!
And yet,
Thrift.
Young Wei Koo gets 4 field goals to win the game. Unbelievable.
58-yard field goal. Now, I'll be honest with you. When the Saints took the lead, 24-23, I don't know. I just thought the Falcons were just going to falcon like they always do. But Kirk Cousins, he gets him into position. These 3 straight incompletions. I mean, at this point, Young Wei Koo has to make a 58-yard field goal. Why don't you make it a little bit closer for your kicker? I mean, come on.
I know. I wish you would have made some completions there, Richard. But in the end, Falcons win a game that they normally lose. That's what I'll take away from it. Even without scoring an offensive touchdown, the defense looked really good. And they almost blew it. But, hey, Carson's made the right
I do
play.
want to say, the Saints didn't have the Honey Badger. They didn't have Demario Davis. I mean, they didn't have Willie Gay. They were banged up on defense.
They didn't have Taysom Hill either.
I think that Taysom Hill had the 2 touchdowns in the first half. Once Taysom Hill went out the game, the Saints are not the same team without Taysom Hill. That team we saw in the first 2 weeks of the season, the explosive offense destroying the Cowboys and destroying the Panthers, that team is just not the same team without Taysom Hill in the lineup.
I agree. So we'll see what happens with the Falcons as they have a game against Tampa Bay on Thursday. So another
Thursday night. Did you see Tampa beat the Eagles?
And they smoked them. So this could be who wins the division this year.
This could be for the division.
Tampa Bay and Atlanta. All right, from Richard Holdridge, I'm Thrift Barringer. Make sure to tune in to Unsolicited Hot Take on Wednesday. Got a busy week on Georgia Alabama Sports Live, but we'll see you next time. Like and subscribe. Good night, everyone.
Good night.
Thank you for watching the Georgia Alabama Sports Live show presented by Glenn Smith Chevrolet and GMC. You're ready to smile.